that's where we're keeping our focus this morning. True federalism as Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari wants. And joining us to look at that is Akinsiju, the former DG of News Agency of Nigeria and a member of the PDP. Thank you so much indeed for joining us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
You've heard Mr. President, and he wants those fences to be mended. And he's looking at the possibility of having the development of our politics with a union, if you will, of the leading parties, the APC and the PDP. What do you think about his submission?
A union of what?
Of the parties, the APC, the PDP, to work together for the growth and common good of the country.
But
what do you think of his submission?
Of course, that is an assumption. It's not that issue. It's not something that is saying. That is what what is happening. That is an assumption. Both parties have a stake. You know, we are serving the same set of people, and you report to your employer. The employers of both parties are Nigerians, and they don't make distinctions among them. It's only the perversion of the system that's a platitude.
Are you disagreeing with what the president said?
There's nothing to disagree with, because he himself is good to talk, you know. But look at the record. You know, they've said so many things that is good soundbite, but translated into reality or action is what is what matters. And as I said, you know, it sounds funny to me that it's, you know, even the mentioning of true federalism, first and foremost. So he agrees that there was we didn't have federalism before. But for him to now be saying that he wants true federalism, that is an implication that what we have had before was not federalism. And this is what they have fought for years.
Well, if there was a true federalism, then there's nothing wrong in having a true federalism from now looking forward.
I'll take you with a pinch of salt. As I said, you look at the record of people who are talking. They set up a committee, so to say, on this same issue 2 years ago, or more than 2 years ago. What became of the committee? So you say you fool me once, you know, you blame me. You don't fool me twice, and I mean, shame to you. You do it through the second, the third, the fourth time, then shame to me. So you see, look, the word that he is using, right, is a word that has been demonized by his supporters and those people around him and the opponents. They will tell you there's nothing like true federalism. You will hear it among them that nobody knows the meaning of restructuring. They don't know all of a sudden. Nigeria started developing lapses in memory about what federalism means, about the need to restore Nigeria back to federalism. So if he's coming back to it at this late hour, it's all well and good.
I would assume then that it's not too late. Of course, we have to go to Abuja for in about 3 minutes from now. But let me just ask you this. One of the senators on the floor of the National Assembly has said repeatedly that as far as he's concerned, the Nigerian Constitution is very defective. Do you think that this Constitution that we have is capable of giving us true federalism on any side of the divide?
There's no way you can want to have what you now call true federalism without reviewing without a wholesale review of the Constitution.
What do we need to do?
In the aspects of the decentralization and devolution of powers, mainly. Look, federalism is not an abstract concept.
Sorry, when you say devolution of powers, what are you talking about here?
That means that you decentralize power from the center back to the
You're talking about the executive list, the exclusive list.
Well, we want to, for instance, state police, for instance. Okay. That's if you have state police today, you are decentralizing that function and power from the center that has arrogated that power to itself. Now, listen. Federalism entails that you have 2 tiers of government that are coordinates and independent, not subordinate to one another. It is between those 2 tiers of government that you distribute powers. You have the exclusive, which is reserved to the federal government. You have the concurrent, which both the two tiers share, and then the residual. The residual, where the residual lies, is what determines the degree of federalism that you have. The local government, you don't have three tiers in federalism. That is one of the areas on which Nigeria is peculiar. Under federalism, local government is supposed to be in under the provenance of the regions or the states, right? And so they've got a lot of work to do in that respect. But you see, the thing I'm saying is that you don't speak. There's a lot of ambivalence with which the APC and the presidency of General Buhari in particular has been speaking, the attitude they have about federalism. It's going to be interesting to see how those people who are champions of this so-called true federalism are, backed away from it, suddenly developed, lots of cognition or memory of what it means in order to justify the position of the president or their party in not wanting, now coming back.
It'll be interesting, really, to see how that will be done. But let's quickly head to Abuja now. Malpe has a guest to discuss the same issue. Malpe.
Well, yes, I'm being joined in the studio now by Ni Akinsiju, who is the chairman of the Buhari Media Organization. Yeah, the Buhari Media Organization, not the Buhari Media Group. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you so much.
You have heard Mr. Osuntokun there talk about, is it paying lip service, almost, this government paying lip service to the issue of federalism and what it ought to mean. Why is it that the president's speech has come so late in the day, especially when it was part of the mantra or part of the manifesto of the APC that they were going to implement true federalism?
Well, I think it depends on the context with which we are reviewing this. My principal outlook on this is that we run a federal constitution. Of course, we may have issues, with how perfect it is. And to my mind and history, I also know that no constitution is perfect and that there's a continuous adaptation to the environment, as it were. The president, had made this declaration out of the outcome of his review, of the environment, as it were, between 2015 and 2019. And I also see an obvious attempt to operationalize the 1999 Constitution. The fact is that everybody has his own thoughts, on our federalism. Some had described it as reconstruction, restructuring, and all that. I had always stayed on the side of federalism and true federalism. And that since before 1999, there was a huge advocacy, on restructuring. At that time, we really didn't have a sovereign in the real sense of it. And the idea then, of course, my opposite in Lagos, Mr. Osuntokun, I know him, was very active in that group too. I was active in the group too. And the hope is that the whole line of Nigerian enlightened elites and, of course, concerned individuals will be part of this. But as it were, we had a 1999 Constitution. At that time, that was what Nigerians wanted, and it was passed.
The 1999
The 1999 Constitution.
Or 1979 Constitution.
The 1979 Constitution, sorry. Which became an integral part of the 1999 Constitution, as it were. Now, essentially going forward, how do we operationalize the 1999 Constitution that it will become a reflection of the desires, of Nigerians? It is not an event, and it cannot be a bus stop. For me, it's a journey. The National Assembly, of course, with the president, since all the presidents in 1999 have been involved in one form of amendments or the other of the Constitution. So as it were, what we need now is to continue to calibrate the Constitution, as it were, to reflect the desires of Nigerians. And I'd like to make this observation. Most of the campaigns and advocacy for restructuring, as it were, has been a major outlook of the majority tribes or ethnic groups in Nigeria. And I had always insisted that Nigeria is defined by its minorities, not the majorities. Because we have more minority groups that needs to be taken, which interest needs to be taken care of and advanced. And the need to advance the interests of the minority group had been responsible for the various amendments to the Nigerian constitutions since the little till constitutions back then, you know. So for me, I would even canvass further that the essence, though my other parts in Lagos is saying that the local government should not be a tire of the government. I am saying no, because of the nature of the Nigerian environment, the Nigerian structure. The local government is very, very important. And I think that is why the drafters of that constitution imputed the role and the functions of the local government specifically in the constitution, as it were.
Some people will say that, yes, indeed, you know, amending the constitution or getting that constitution which a lot of Nigerians desire, yes, they will agree with you that it's a journey. But from what they have seen, they haven't quite seen the will to maintain or to start that journey, so to speak. What we have seen will be tokenism. For instance, the APC committee, which was chaired by Madam Nasser El-Rufai, to take in memos on constitutional amendment or what restructuring would entail, only came up after agitations and reminders of what was in the manifesto came up.
No, I don't think so. It had been the thought of the party, you know, to do this. It's consultation, you know. And,
but what became of that? Assuming we concede to you that that indeed was the situation, what became of the memos that were received from all corners of the country after that committee was constituted?
It's work in progress.
What is
because it's work in progress. And thankfully, I am seeing a beacon of hope, as it were, with the coming of the Night Assembly. I think this will be functionalized, as it were. There is a document on hand. I think the party may lead the charge, you know, relating with the National Assembly, you know, to review this and, of course, to make it part of the amendment. It is not like writing a new constitution. It's the contribution of the party, you know, to amend the constitution, as it were. So I think that is the direction. But have we also properly operationalized what we have now? Since 1999, if we'd had governments that had been committed to true federalism, by conduct, by conduct, and of course operationalization of the thing between, of the constitution, as it were, between governments at the subnationals and the national, we would have seen specifically what are those deficiencies, you know, that needs to be paid to, that needs to be amended, and of course the strength, as it were, of the constitution. You know, we've had a situation where the federal government sees the federal allocation to a state in Nigeria, which is absolutely a breach of the intent of the constitution. You know, and we've had different examples of such breaches.
Let's see if Mr. Osuntokun has a response to that.
Well, she wants me to respond to that. Well, you see, you cannot have, you know, individual definitions of federalism. Anybody who is saying that your own notion of federalism entails having local government as a third tier, with due respect, doesn't know what he's talking about. You see, all these fanciful ideas, federalism is not indeterminate, the way people are saying. And in any case, remember that if the words used by Mr. President has any meaning, it is to the effect that what was being done before was not federalism. And contrary to what he has said, I'm not aware of any amendment to the Constitution since 1999. Not one single one. Of course, the process of amending the Constitution is an elaborate, it has not been done anyway. But this is the point. I've engaged in several conversations around federalism. And what led to the idea, because theoretically, there's nothing like true federalism. True federalism took hold in the discourse of Nigeria because what we are practicing and referring to as federalism is not federalism.
Okay, we'll go on a short break.
That
We'll
is
let you
why we
continue.
need to say
We'll let you continue
true.
on this trajectory shortly after this break. Join us again.
It's our closing moments now with Mr. Niyi Akinsiju, who is the chairman of the Buhari Media Organization. Your thoughts? You have said that you're optimistic that the National Assembly, the 9th National Assembly, is about to convene, and you think that because the president is saying this, we'll be able to see the amendments that Nigerians are yearning for. But some people say that the National Assembly is not the place to go to. What do you say to those people?
Where do we go to? The National Assembly is a sovereign in Nigeria. That's the entity, is the constitutional organ Nigerians voted for. So either we like it or not, that is the place to go. That is the place to go because they are, whatever may be the deficiency, they are the representative of the people.
Are you optimistic that they can actually achieve the kind of constitution that Nigerians are yearning for?
We have invested our votes in them. Mm-hmm. And that's what you call sovereign, the representation of the interests and desires of the people, And thankfully, the Nigerian people that even made it easier, by giving the APC substantial and assertive majority in both chambers of the National Assembly. And let me quickly respond to my friend out there. There is no, if we put it as a collective, there are no similar federal constitutions anywhere in the world. They adapt to specific environments, especially to take care of the interest of minorities.
Mm. Well, I think it's a fine place to leave it, and it's a good place to say thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. Mr. Niyi Akinsiju is the chairman of the Buhari Media Organization. It's back to you, Gimbanayo.
Thank you, Mokwe. You've heard what he said. In addition to, because I see you're eager to respond to him too, but in addition to that, what do you think moving forward should be the agenda we should set in terms of getting it right in defining what federalism should be for the people of this country through the Constitution?
Well, listen, right? Look, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? There is a theory and reason behind the independence. The best and most viable and practical constitution Nigeria can ever have was the one that we had as the Independence Constitution. And those who brought it about they are the people. I don't know any set of Nigerians or actors who know Nigeria, know what more than them. First is the British government, who, as a matter of fact, brought Nigeria to life in consultation with Chief Abafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Ahmadu Bello, and the other leaders. For years, they were running minds to fine-tune, to perfect the grand norm that they know from their experience and their intelligence that is best suited to Nigeria. And they gave us the Independence Constitution. Now, that Independence Constitution, of course, is not written in iron or gold. It has its own, it is inbuilt with processes of how it can evolve, including the creation of additional states or regions. So it is a wonder. So when people talk about true federalism, that is at the back. That is at the back of what anybody who talks about true federalism is. That does not mean that we will go wholesale back to that. No. Now, in 1966, what led to where we are today was the coup of 1966 that terminated the First Republic. Now, the coup is an accident, was an accident. It was not the norm. But then we chose to reify as if that accident is the norm. If you have an accident, what you do is correct it, not then dig yourself in more and more. Of course, then the protracted era of military dictatorship. Now, military dictatorship thrives on unified command, top down. So this is the element that has been infused to totally distort the notion of Nigerian federalism, right? Don't did it in a way to subordinate the states to the federal government.
And that should be corrected.
And exactly.
Okay, that'll be a good place to let it rest because we're actually out of time. I'm sure that we'll have another forum where we can discuss further on what true federalism should mean to the people of this country. But I must thank you so much indeed for talking to us on Sunrise Daily this morning, Mr. Osuntokun, a former DG of the News Agency of Nigeria and member of the PDP. And that's how the program has been today. I want to thank you so much indeed for watching as well. I'm Gimba Umar.
I am Akinsiju saying have a wonderful day.
And I'm Alpwelgon Yusuf. Thank you for watching.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.